UFC 299 has come to a close, and today, guys, I am going to go through my thoughts on pretty much the entire card. There's some fights in particular that there's really nothing to talk about, like Macy Barber and Felipe Lins. It was a good fight, but nothing to really take away from it. So if you're interested in hearing my take on any particular fight, timestamps will be there if you'd like to skip to any part. Plus, we are going to go through the betting recap for the channel members and my particular bets. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's get started with the betting recap. All right, guys, these are the bets for the channel members, and these are the bets that I am particularly placing every single week. I will have this, and I uploaded a video. This is what I started doing differently, which I hope is much better for everybody, is I will have this YouTube post still for the people who just literally want to see what I'm doing, but I uploaded a video for members only talking about why and how I am placing these bets. For example, like Jack Della Maddalena, I wasn't sure about, so it's 0.25 units because I didn't know how Gilbert Burns was going to show up. Like, I spoke about things like that and kind of just expanded on my decision making there. So if anybody is interested, join the channel membership. It is very cheap compared to other channels, and I will be posting every Thursday or Friday before the UFC event. I usually do UFC, but every once in a while I'll do one championship in LFA, learning a lot about those fighters. So it's always fun, guys. It's always fun, and we had a good week. So this is my plays, UFC 299 official plays, and it was an important note over here. I'm playing with my money in a few bets I placed this weekend. There's some risky spots. I see a lot of value for the chances. In about a half hour at the time of posting that, I will be releasing a members-only video explaining my confidence and reasoning for each bet. I highly suggest you watch that instead of just tailing. And exactly that's the thing, because there was another thing. For example, Pedro Munhoz. I threw half a unit on Pedro Munhoz, but I was like, I don't know about that one. I just like the chances for his odds. So if moving forward for any members, I would suggest watching these videos that I do post about it, because it does put a lot of explanation into what exactly I'm doing. The first bet I placed was a 2.5 units on Jack Della Maddalena to win. Nothing to say there. It was a very, very close fight, and Jack ended up getting a finish later on in the fight. Then we had a risky single bet with Benoit Saint-Denis to win by finish. Now, this was something, and this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about in the video, where it's like, at the time, I saw this at almost plus 500, so I was like, I like those chances, so that's why I hopped on it. It's not just like, oh, here's my bets. You guys get the point of what I'm talking about, right? After that, we had both Pereira and Yadong to go over 2.5 rounds, and Benoit Saint-Denis to win. Good value there, but of course, with a low confidence level, 2.5 units. And then we had a round parlay, and I was like, oh, when I placed this, I was like, it's a lot of fights. I don't know how I'm feeling about it, but man, these are all tough fighters, and they all went over the round and a half. You can see right there, all of those fighters to go over 1.5 rounds, except Pereira versus Yadong. That ended up being great value. So we had another bet in Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena over 2.5 rounds. I was sweating on that one, and that's also important to note, is I was moving 2.5 units at that point. I was sweating there. Because it was such a tough fight, but we did it. So another single bet, 0.5 units, Michael Page to win. I do have to give a nice, wonderful shout out, because if you guys watch the channel, if you guys follow the channel throughout the entire week, I was like, Kevin Holland, Michael Page, don't bet on it. We don't know how Kevin Holland's going to show up. We don't know if he can come in there and kill like some 40-year-old, right? Well, I know Page isn't 40, but you get the point. Sometimes Holland shows up. Sometimes he's snappy, and I was like, I don't like it. Stay away. But then I explained this in the members video that I was watching the MMA fortune teller, who I absolutely love to watch, by the way, and he completely swayed my opinion of Michael Page. And I was like, every single point that he made about it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So actually, I was not going to place a bet there, and then I just had my opinion completely swayed there, and it ended up working out. Michael Page styled on Kevin Holland. And then, unfortunately, we have our first couple losses over here. Both 0.5 units on Marlon Vera to win and Pedro Munhoz to win. I did expand and say that this was risky, especially for Pedro Munhoz, because Pedro just hasn't been able to put it together. I was worried about the reach. Pedro Munhoz unfortunately didn't get it done, but Marlon Vera, man, I thought he performed better. I thought that at some point during the 5 rounds, he would catch Sean O'Malley, so we ended up losing there, but Curtis Blaydes pulled through. Curtis Blaydes, guys, I'm not even kidding right now. When Curtis Blaydes got that finish, I was screaming, because I was so confident in Curtis Blaydes. Just the matchup, I'm not going to explain exactly what I thought about the matchup, but throughout the entire week, I made an early breakdown video for UFC 299 like a month before it happened. I was like, Curtis Blaydes, I almost chose him for lock of the week. Curtis Blaydes, I felt really, really good about. And live streams, YouTube comments, everybody was telling me like, Jailton Almeida's going to steamroll this dude. I'm like, I just don't see it. Everybody in the entire world, and I made this in the members only video. I said, okay, be careful, because I'm throwing a whole unit on Curtis Blaydes. And I got him earlier too. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was almost a 3-1 underdog. I don't know. It was something around there. It was over 2. It was over 2, like, which was great for Curtis Blaydes. I was like, 100% I am doing that. 100%. And when I made the members only video, I was like, okay, I threw an entire unit on this. So everybody's disagreeing with me. So be careful with this one, because maybe I'm just the only idiot in the world here, but I ended up being the only smart one. But anyways, we have another unit on a 2-fight parlay. Mateusz Gamrot to win and Petr Yan to win. Petr Yan is a very close fight, but he ended up getting the job done. I thought he was a little bit better than Yadong, and it seemed to be he proved that the case. Another bet that I was very happy with was Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos over 1.5 rounds, and Petr Yan versus Yadong to go over 2.5 rounds. I didn't love 2.5 rounds. I like 1.5. I think it's a lot safer, but both guys are so tough, so I went through with that anyways. And my most confident play of the night, I threw 2 units on it. I thought about doing it on Blaydes, man. I thought about it, but you know what? I'm okay with it. It was Mateusz Gamrot to win and Caitlin Chookagian versus Macy Barber to go over 1.5 rounds. I freaked out when dos Anjos almost finished Gamrot. I was like, how is that even possible? But then everything came back to reality, right? Mateusz Gamrot ended up getting the win. So we did a fantastic card for betting. And of course, I had a risky fun parlay there. I just threw $5 on. Typically, I do that, but of course, it didn't end up hitting there. The payout was ridiculous for that. But guys, again, if you're interested, join the channel membership. Every video, and if you just literally want to tail, but I suggest watching the video. Will be up every Thursday or Friday before the event. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get into the recap of the entire card. Starting off with Almabaev taking on CJ Vergara. I honestly thought CJ Vergara would do better than he did, but Almabaev just proved again that he is a serious contender in this division too. Honestly, guys, I think very, very highly of CJ Vergara. I know a lot of people are just picking Almabaev to steamroll him, but I thought CJ Vergara at least had a decent chance to win. He is always tough. He's always there. He's always game, and he showed that, man. He never quit, but Almabaev, man, this dude could be an actual problem in the division, and a lot of people are writing CJ Vergara off, but I still think he's a really, really good fighter. Just it might just be a different animal in the division. We don't really know. Moving on to the next fight, we have Michel Pereira versus Michael Oleksiejczuk, and again, apologies, I always pronounce his name wrong, but Michel Pereira continues to look very, very strong, very dominant in the weight class. Came in, got another quick finish. I can't believe the secret win streak that he's putting together, and man, Michel Pereira, I keep almost betting on him, and then I don't do it. Because, I don't know, he's not screaming to me that this dude is top contender material, but he keeps just winning and looking more dominant. I don't know what it is, but Michel Pereira is looking really, really good. He came out, he was doing the whole backflip thing, he was really thriving off the crowd. I know some people in particular were a little bit worried about that because he might just thrive off the crowd and start doing dumb stuff, but he looked big. He looked strong, I love the way he digs to the body. It's so strong, so powerful. He's a very, very good fighter. Somebody to look out for. And then my heart broke a little bit in Kyler Phillips defeating Pedro Munhoz. Now, you can argue that Kyler Phillips really was cheating a lot in the first round, but honestly, Pedro finally looked like he was slowing down a little bit. I know he was cheating at the beginning, but I still think he would have ended up losing that fight with the way the fight went. Kyler Phillips was using his reach to an okay point. He was just having so much more output than Pedro Munhoz, and Pedro continues to be so tough. I really, really am a big fan of Pedro Munhoz. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time, and it always hurts to see that he just can't get it together. He's 37 years old in the toughest division of all time, and what Joe Rogan was saying during the fight too, and I completely agree with this, how crazy is it that after this, Pedro Munhoz might no longer be ranked? That is absolutely insane to me. But Kyler Phillips, man, he had a great performance. It wasn't perfect, don't get me wrong, but he took on a tough guy in Pedro Munhoz. The output was nuts. He looked really good in the stand-up, but yeah, I always just get sad. I really want Pedro Munhoz to win. He's one of my favorite fighters, and I will forever be cheering for Pedro Munhoz. Hopefully, they can actually give him a little bit of an easier matchup next time. Then we have Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos. This one, I spoke about this when I was making the betting video because dos Anjos, I've been watching him forever. He's one of my favorite fighters. I love Rafael dos Anjos, but I was so confident Mateusz Gamrot to win this fight that I threw my biggest bet on him. So I was stuck in a crossroads there on who to cheer for because I didn't want to have to cheer against Rafael dos Anjos, but I ended up doing so because, again, it was the biggest bet I made on the card. I threw 2 entire units on Mateusz Gamrot along with another fight, so I needed him to win. And, I was shocked. I was screaming, man, when dos Anjos almost finished Gamrot at the beginning of the fight. I was like, how is this possible? But honestly, my heart was feeling good about it for Rafael dos Anjos because, again, I'm a big, big fan of him. But then reality came about. Mateusz Gamrot ended up controlling the fight. Very, very high fight IQ to just change levels, get down there, transition. It was just, he had a great game plan, Gamrot, and he did a fantastic job. And Rafael dos Anjos, man, his age is still showing. He's not the same guy that he once was, but he can still hang with these guys. He did look a lot more powerful in this division. Then we have Curtis Blaydes, man. I'm not going to repeat what I was saying because I already spoke about Curtis Blaydes when we were talking about the bets, but man, he came through. I'm so happy, man. I'm apart from the bets that I place, I like Curtis Blaydes a lot. I think he's a very underappreciated fighter, and exactly what I thought would happen happened. Jailton Almeida would get a hold of him, but Curtis Blaydes would be too big. He'd be too strong, and Curtis Blaydes could have potentially found a finish, and Curtis Blaydes ended up finding a finish. I know a lot of people are happy about Jailton Almeida losing, except the people who bet on, because again, I've seen a lot of people confident in Almeida. I was like, I don't get it, man. I didn't get it. I'm riding this one, man. It was a fantastic call by me. Moving on to Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Guys, if you've been following the channel, you would know that this was actually one of my dream fights, my dream matchups for a very long time. I think both guys are so talented, so tough, amazing at what they do. They have an all-round skill set, and they are always a pleasure to watch on their own, and I would love to see both of them come in and end up fighting each other. And the fight was everything I dreamed of. It was one of the most high-level technical performances that you could ever see, both in the stand-up and on the ground. I was just fascinated watching the whole thing. It was everything that I hoped for. It was one of my favorite fights in recent history. It wasn't a back and forth like, oh my god, but still, the technique that was displayed in this fight. I love watching Petr Yan. I love watching Song Yadong. Both of these guys are some of the greatest fighters you'll ever see, and the fact that they clashed and had a fantastic performance was amazing. Honestly, I thought you could have gave the fight either way. It all depends on how you scored that second round. I personally scored it to Yan, but if you gave it to Song Yadong, I wouldn't argue at all. The fight ended, and I was like, I think Yan might have edged it, but that fight could have gone either way. It was everything that I hoped for. It was a fantastic fight, and I'm so happy that Petr Yan, and it's sad because I like Song Yadong a lot, right? But Petr Yan had an unfortunate losing streak, and now he's back in the win column, and it is wonderful to see. Continuing on, we have Della Maddalena getting the win over Gilbert Burns. Now, I wasn't exactly sure about this fight because I had a lot of questions about Gilbert Burns, but he showed up in fantastic shape. It was honestly, at least in recent history, the best I've ever seen Gilbert Burns look, and I was like, oh boy, he might actually win this fight. I had a small bet on Della Maddalena if you watched the betting part, but Della Maddalena continued to show that he is continuously improving. A lot of people around him have been saying that Jack has been improving. He's been working on his ground game, and he showed that to be the case. He even offered some offense off of his back. Great takedown defense. It wasn't perfect, don't get me wrong, but you could see that Della Maddalena is continuously improving his game, and it is awesome to see. He ended up getting the finish at the end, and unfortunately, I'm a big fan of Gilbert Burns. I like him more than I like Della Maddalena, but seems to be the new guy coming in. Jack is the real deal for sure, and he had a great performance. Then we have Michael Venom Page versus Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland didn't show up, man. He got styled on. He got completely 100% styled on. It was a little bit similar to the Wonderboy fight, but honestly, even worse. Kevin Holland found himself on his butt at multiple points in the fight. Michael Venom Page was dancing around him. I can't believe that I was thinking that you shouldn't bet on this fight because it was closer, but honestly, man, Michael Page ended up getting the job done. There's nothing else to say about that. He styled on Kevin Holland. There's nothing else to say about it. But moving on to the co-main event, we have Dustin Poirier getting the win over Benoit Saint Denis. This actually surprised me because Benoit was controlling the whole thing. He was controlling the whole thing, and then he ended up getting overconfident. And this is something that I was worried about, but I thought Benoit would end up getting the win. Excuse me. Sorry, my apologies. He ended up getting the win. He ended up getting careless. And I was even saying, like, I had a bunch of people watching it with me, and we were saying to each other, the person that I was sitting next to, I was like, Benoit is being really careless right now up against the fence. He's up against the fence, dirty boxing with Dustin Poirier. How dumb can you be? And Dustin ended up clipping him. I know he looked good, but man, you played right into Dustin Poirier's game. So he got overconfident. I wholeheartedly believe if he did not do that, he would have went on his way to winning. But then again, that's not how Benoit fights, right? He throws caution to the wind. He comes in. He wants to kill you violently. I don't know why Dustin Poirier started throwing the guillotines. You know what? Dustin Poirier didn't look like himself. I don't know if it's the age. I don't know if it's the comfort at this point in his life. I don't know if it's the damage he's taken or if he's finally starting to show. He's 35 years old right now, but that's not the Dustin Poirier I know. That is not the Dustin Poirier that is this crazy contender that we're used to. And I don't think that it was all Benoit looking good. I think it was Dustin Poirier not looking like himself. He was breathing heavy the first minute in. He looked slow. He just, again, like if you look at his face, if you look at the way he was moving, again, like tell me if you disagree with me, but I don't think that was our regular Dustin Poirier. Who knows? Maybe he was injured or something. I don't know why he kept going for those guillotines. Maybe that's another thing. If he really wanted a way out of the fight, he almost got a couple of them, but man, they rarely work, dude. I don't know why people keep doing that. And Benoit kept getting on top, kept pounding him. Benoit was looking great. Dustin Poirier didn't look so good, but then Benoit got overconfident and Poirier chinned him. What's next for him? I don't know. I don't think we should give Poirier a title shot, but Poirier is still at the very, very top. And honestly, my takeaway from Benoit is Benoit does belong with the best of the best. He'll probably go on and kill somebody else, to be honest with you, but yeah, it was a weird fight, but Dustin Poirier ended up getting the win. And then for the main event, we have Sean O'Malley getting the win over Marlon Vera. There's nothing to say. Sean O'Malley styled on him. Sean O'Malley picked him apart for 5 rounds. I was worried about Sean's 5-round cardio. Looked like he was breathing a little bit heavy in the 4th, but he pushed through and still had the fantastic output that he has. Marlon Vera just stood there, ate it. It was really weird to see that Marlon Vera's face was actually busted up. I can't believe that's what we saw. But he was tough. I thought Marlon Vera would at some point land some damaging blows, but that never happened. Sean O'Malley is a great fighter. As much as a lot of people don't like him, this dude is a champion. This dude is the best of the best at the top of the toughest division in all of combat sports. He wants to fight Ilia Topuria next. I would imagine the UFC wants to do that. I don't know how that's going to go. I'd have to see how they size up because Ilia just seems like a little bit of a different monster at this point. But then again, Sean's very, very elusive. But I think Ilia would get the win there. But, man, I'm so disappointed in Cheeto, man. I'm so disappointed. One of the reasons that I did pick him to win, too, was because in his previous fight, he came out guns blazing. Because what's the criticism of Cheeto? He just stands there and then relies on the later rounds. He came out guns blazing in his last fight. He didn't do that this time. He just came in like this for 5 rounds. Barely through. I wish he would chop the legs more. I wish he would throw more. I wish he would throw caution to the wind a little bit more. Because Sean O'Malley is just styling him, and now it just looks horrible. It looks horrible on Cheeto. But at the end of the day, Sean O'Malley proved that he's a better fighter. He got the win. And I can't wait to see what's next for him. He's a very, very exciting fighter. But that's going to do it for the recap, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to check out the channel membership if you were interested in seeing my official plays every single week. Thursday or Friday, they will be up very cheap compared to other channels. Let me know what you thought about the fights down below. Thank you so much for watching. On the screen right now, you can find a video right here for you to check out. I will see you either there or in the next one, guys. Take care.